everyone, my name is Ranger Liz, and today we're at the Carpenter Nature Center. With Ranger Andy, you learned how to use binoculars and you learned about some common songbird species you can find. Today, we're going to go explore Carpenter Nature Center and experience some different birds that are in the raptor family. So let's go find Jessie, who is the animal care coordinator here at Carpenter Nature Center, and see what kind of birds we can meet today. Hi, Jessie.
Hi, Liz.
What do you do here at Carpenter Nature Center?
Well, there's a couple of things actually. I'm the outreach program coordinator, which means that I do education, and I'm also the animal care coordinator. So I spend a lot of time with the ambassador creatures here at the Nature Center, one of which is our red-tailed hawk who's joining us today.
Awesome! That sounds like a really cool job.
You know, I don't like to brag, but it really is. You know, if you're an animal lover, it's wonderful because I get to interact with animals of all kinds, from reptiles to amphibians to birds to mammals. It's a really cool opportunity to learn about animals and to spend time with them.
So Jessie, who do you have with us to show off today?
This is a red-tailed hawk. He's one of the many animal ambassadors here that we have at Carpenter Nature Center. Red-tailed hawks are a really common species of raptor that we have here native in Minnesota and Wisconsin. And actually throughout North America, they can be found into Canada and even down into Mexico with kind of regional differences in their coloration. So, if anybody, you know, in your listening audience here isn't familiar, I referred to him as being a raptor. Another way that they can be referred is as birds of prey. And so raptors or birds of prey are put in a group together, not necessarily because they're related, but because they have very similar physical characteristics. And there are actually three that we cite. So when we look at the body of a bird, we can tell it's a raptor by looking at their eyes, first of all, because they have forward-facing eyes, like you and I do, like we humans do. That helps them to hunt, seeing their prey right straight in front of their faces like that. And their eyesight is actually very, very keen as well. It's many, many times better than the eyesight of humans. In fact, if he could read, if I took him to one end of a football field and had you go to the other end with a piece of newspaper, he could read every single line on that newspaper.
That's amazing.
That's how keen his eyesight is. I don't know about you, but I can't even read the newspaper without my glasses right in front of my face, okay? So that's one thing that sets raptors apart from other birds, is their amazing eyes that they use to locate their prey. The next thing is, if you look at their feet, they've got these really strong feet and sharp talons that they use for catching and killing their prey. And actually, it's their feet that gives their group the name raptor. The word raptor means to grasp or to seize or grab at something. That's exactly how they catch and kill their prey. And then the third and final physical adaptation they have that makes them different than other birds is that beak. It's got a sharp hook that they need for tearing their food apart into pieces, because raptors are carnivores. And carnivores are animals that only eat meat. So there's lots of different kinds of bird beaks in the animal world, but all raptors have that sharp hook like this guy does.
That's so cool. Such a beautiful bird.
I think so too.
So Jessie, our beautiful red-tailed hawk, where can you find these birds?
Well, like I mentioned before, they're pretty common, and actually, even if you don't think you've ever seen a red-tailed hawk in the wild, you probably have. The most likely place you are to see them is hanging out on top of telephone poles and light posts, which mimics the places where they would be found in areas where there's no human development. So if there aren't any people around, they can most likely be seen sitting in a tree overlooking a vast prairie area. These hawks are built for soaring high above open ground where they're looking down into the grass for their prey. So like I said, if there's no humans around, they might be perched in an oak on the edge of a prairie where they can look for food and rest, conserve their energy. But in areas where there's city and people, they hang out on top of telephone poles and light posts because they're looking in the ditch, in the grass, for things like mice or chipmunks and squirrels and other different kinds of critters that they might like to have for a snack.
So how do you tell the difference between our red-tailed hawk and maybe a different species of hawk?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Well, their name is a dead giveaway. I'll tell you that first of all. They're called red-tailed hawks because they have this kind of nice rusty red colored tail. It's not bright red like the apple on my shirt, but it is kind of like a rusty reddish orange color. And so that is a dead giveaway. Like I said, if you're driving down the highway and you see a great big bird on top of a telephone pole or light post, look at that tail. If you see that nice rusty red coloration, that's a dead giveaway. If you see a big bird flying in the sky, you can tell the difference between a red-tailed hawk and, let's say, peregrine falcon by looking at the shape of the body. So this red-tailed hawk, when he's soaring, is going to have nice big broad wings that have a round edge, really great for soaring. And its tail is going to be fanned out really wide. You might even be able to see kind of the orangey pinky underside of the tail if you're looking at them from down below. Whereas a bird like, say for instance, the peregrine falcon that I mentioned, if you see one of those soaring, they have a very different body shape. They're compact, they've got kind of a longer, sleeker tail, and their wings are longer, narrower, and pointed at the ends. So if you want to learn to identify raptors in the wild, those silhouettes are a good thing to look for.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the bird species that I really know how to do, but it is really hard to get it confused with some other species.
Definitely, definitely. There are other species of hawks in this area that are closely related to red-tailed hawks, but when in doubt, look at that tail.
Yeah.
That's my bit of advice that I give to everybody.
Big giveaway. Well, thank you so much for letting us come by today, Jessie.
Well, you're very welcome. It was great to have you guys here.
So if other people want to come here and see some more of the ambassador animals, how do they do that?
Thanks for asking, Liz. For anybody that wants to visit this red-tailed hawk or any of other Carpenter Nature Center's animal ambassadors, we're open 361 days a year from 8 to 4:30 daily. So if you have any questions about what we have going on here, visit our website, www.carpenternaturecenter.org, or give us a phone call here at 651-437-4359. Thanks again for coming.
Yeah, thanks.